Welcome back to For Your Heart and Home. My name is Dee Dee. Welcome into my kitchen. Today, I want to talk to you about balancing homemaking and homeschooling with the support of a modern village. Many of us are under the misconception that the village that is talked about includes people coming over to your home, scrubbing your toilets, cleaning your bathroom, washing all your dishes, taking your baby, giving you a break. And while all of those things are wonderful and lovely, if you do have people in your life to support you in that way in your motherhood journey, for many of us, that is not reality. And so many of us start our journey into motherhood already feeling behind because we don't have that support system that is often portrayed when we talk about a village raising our children. In our modern society, many of us are disconnected, whether by physical space because our families are spread apart a large area, or we are distant because of just regular family relationships. And so we don't have that village that is often touted when it comes to parenthood and when it comes to raising a family. So I have some tips for you that I hope will be helpful as you think about creating a village for yourself in the modern society in which we live. On screen, I'm working on some breakfast for us this morning, and my children wanted to jump in and help. And so you'll see a bunch of different hands coming in and out of the shot. But really what we were doing was putting together a breakfast. We were making some muffins. My daughter helped me to mix the muffins. We were making some zucchini muffins, which was the first time for the season. And so we were excited about those. My daughter helped me to make them. My son stepped in to help me make some twice fried plantains, and they are delicious. It's something we grew up eating when we were in Jamaica, my husband and I, and so it was something we had to introduce to our children, and they absolutely loved this. After that, my other daughter, she stepped in and she was responsible for making the scrambled eggs. So what I do in our kitchen is my children are always willing and happy to help, but it's hard to have all of us in the kitchen all at once. So one thing that I like to do is just to divvy up tasks. So each person gets a chance to help with one part of the meal, or I also assign a meal helper every day. And so if it's your day to be a meal helper, whatever I'm working on in the kitchen, you're welcome to come in and help me along with that. And that way, everybody gets a chance to come in and help and nobody feels left out. So while that's going on in the background, I just wanted to talk to you again about balancing homeschooling and homemaking. It is back to homeschooling time for us here, and I have slowly been working in all the subjects so that we can build up to full capacity. Today we're diving into this topic that really hits home for many of us, and that's just finding the balance between all the responsibilities of homeschooling and homemaking. If you're ever felt like you're carrying the weight of both the teacher and homemaker at the same time, you're definitely not alone. And here's the good news. You are not meant to do it all by yourself. We'll be talking about 5 practical tips to keep things in balance and weaving in the idea of the village that we all need when raising and educating our children in today's world. Tip 1. Create rhythms and not rigid schedules. One of the best ways to avoid burnout is to create daily rhythms instead of trying to live by the clock. For example, you might start your mornings with lessons, then move into household chores together, followed by a quiet time in the afternoon. Rhythms keep the flow of your day predictable without the stress of being tied to a rigid timeline. And here's where the village comes in. Sometimes your rhythm can include co-ops, library programs, or even a neighbor who invites your kids over for playtime. These connections help you keep the rhythm steady without feeling like every task is solely yours to juggle. In our case, when we first started homeschooling with just my son, I wanted to be involved with everything. We signed up for all the library programs, we were going to forest schools, and I wanted to make sure that we had some kind of play date scheduled almost every single week. But quickly it became overwhelming. My outside obligations far exceeded my inside obligations, and it was becoming far too much to manage. And so something had to be left to the side. And it quickly became apparent that this wasn't something or a lifestyle that I wanted to even try to keep up. Now, it is important to have relationships and friendships and all of these exterior obligations, but you have to be mindful of how all of these obligations are affecting you on a day-to-day basis. If it's too much, always feel free to step back, reevaluate. Why am I doing this? What is my motivation? And how is this serving me? How is this serving my family? And as we started adding more children to our family, it was clear that there was no way that I was going to be able to keep up with all of these things. So for my mental health, for their mental health, it was important to step back. It's not going to service anyone if you're dragging your kids to these obligations. They don't really want to go. But if they're excited to go and they're excited to see their friends, keep that on the list. So you have to evaluate and decide for yourself what will work and what won't. But creating a rhythm and not a rigid schedule is one way to ensure that neither you nor your children become burnt out by the responsibilities of homeschooling and homemaking. Tip number 2 is to involve the kids in homemaking. Like I shared before briefly, my children's tasks every day are very simple. They are responsible for cleaning up their room, taking care of their bed, taking care of themselves in the morning in terms of getting dressed, brushing teeth, all that. And then they are responsible for getting themselves something to eat for breakfast. It's my job to make sure that something is available. So I've shared before that I will make pancakes or muffins or have something on hand that they can prepare for themselves in the morning. Besides that, they help with other tasks as well. Each person gets a chance to be meal helper every day. Somebody's responsible for sweeping, setting the table. All of these small tasks are very important to the everyday life. And with giving them responsibilities, it helps them feel part of the family and as if they're able to contribute. So involving your children in the homemaking is really important because homemaking isn't something separate from homeschooling. It is part of the education. So invite your children into cooking, folding laundry, or even gardening. These are life skills and they count as learning. So in this modern village that we've created as a society, we can share these experiences with others. Maybe a family friend teaches your kids to bake bread while your kids help them with yard work. Shared homemaking not only lightens your load, but also teaches kids that caring for a home and community is a collective effort. Again, if you don't have a family friend close by, or if it doesn't work with the rhythm of your day, you can set time aside to teach your children whatever it is that you're working on. My children have seen me every day almost go into the kitchen and try something new. And even if I'm not trying something new, I'm tweaking a recipe. And so they're often intrigued. Hey, Mom, what are you making today? And so I like to talk through what we're going to make, what we're going to eat. Whenever it's possible, I try to pull them in to help them learn basic skills like knife usage, measuring. All these things are really important. And so I always try to involve my children in the homemaking tasks because they will see the value and they feel like they are adding to the family unit and contributing in some way. Tip number 3 is to set priorities and let go of perfection. Guys, if you come to my house, you will see that perfection never even made it through the door. We are not striving to be the perfect Instagram, social media ready family. We are more interested in creating bonds that my children will look back on and say, I had a really good childhood. Not because we had all the things and we did all the things and we went to all the places, but I had quality time with my family. And yes, we do the things, we go to the places, so that's important too. But for the majority of the time, my husband and I try to be intentional so that we are creating stronger bonds with our children so that they can feel safe and they can feel loved in our space. So set priorities and let go of perfection, because you don't have to do it all and you don't have to do it perfectly. Some days the laundry will sit unfolded, and that's okay. Focus on what matters most, which is nurturing your children, fostering curiosity, and creating a safe and loving environment. In our modern world, the village might look like meal trains during a busy season, swapping childcare with another homeschool mom, or even using grocery delivery services. Outsourcing or sharing responsibilities doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're working smart and leaning on your community. Again, if you're not able to source swapping childcare with another homeschooling mom, if you create rhythms in your day where you have built-in rest times for yourself and your children, that helps to lighten the load, and that helps you to feel less overburdened. Which leads me into tip number 4, building breaks for you and your kids. So taking intentional breaks helps to reset your energy and keeps the household running more smoothly. Whether it's a walk outside, an afternoon of free play, or quiet reading time, breaks keep everyone refreshed. For our schedule, we like to get up early and get it done. So my children are up usually between 7 and 7:30. That's a time for them to do any kind of morning tasks that they have to have, grab some breakfast, and come to the table for learning time at 8. So between 8 and 12 is when we do the bulk of our schoolwork, any kind of tabletop work with workbooks or science activities. And then by 12 o'clock is when we take our first major break of the day. That's usually when we have lunch. So by 12, if they're finished with all of their book work, then the rest of the afternoon is theirs. They put their things away. I usually head into the kitchen and I get started with some light lunch and definitely dinner prep. For them, they have the opportunity to come in the kitchen and help me one at a time, or they go off and do something of interest to them. That could be reading a book, that could be playing with their blocks or magnet tiles or Legos or other kind of building tools. Maybe they want to watch a movie or some kind of time on a computer. We definitely allow for screen time here, especially if they have completed all of their morning tasks. They can have that opportunity to play. So at 12, they will go off and they'll do something that is interesting to them. For me, it's a break from thinking about homeschooling, but then I switch into homemaking mode. Again, I'm working on any big tasks that I have to get done. So I try to do a big task every day, whether that's laundry, cleaning the bathroom, or cleaning another space, organizing a space in our home, besides cooking. And so if I have a big task to do that day, I make sure that gets done, and then I work on dinner. Once that is done and dinner is ready, by then my husband is usually home and we all sit down for dinner. After dinner, we again will have some downtime. The children go off and they do something that's interesting to them. Sometimes, especially on a Friday, we'll have family games, board games, and after that, we unwind with a shower and it's time for bed. So for us, that's what the rhythm of our day looks like. The morning time is usually for homeschooling. Afternoon, it's for homemaking tasks. And then in the evening, we have family playtime. So that's what works for us. Find what works for you. The beauty of homeschooling is that you can do what works for your family. Maybe you're a working mom or a working parent and you can't do homeschooling in the morning. That's okay. Find a way for the children to be occupied, and then when homeschooling works for you, whether that's in the evenings or on the weekends, you will make time for that. But I find that the flexibility of homeschooling is one of the draws to most families because your children is engaged in a curriculum that truly embodies what your family believes in, and you have that flexibility to have that additional family time. So when you build in breaks for you and your children, think about your village here as well. Maybe, like I said, a grandparent or a family friend does a weekly story time with the kids, or you can go to the library to trade off that mental load of having to read, but your children are still engaged in some kind of educational activity. Or you can trade an afternoon of playtime with another family where both moms get downtime. So maybe you have someone come over, the kids can play together, and you can have some adult time, sharing stories, swapping ideas. But again, the modern village isn't always in your backyard, but it can be created through friendships, extended family, or even online communities that provide encouragement and ideas. My final tip about balancing homeschooling and homemaking is tip number 5, which says to nurture your own well-being. I talked a lot about filling your cup, guys. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? We've heard that before, but what does that mean? It means you don't want to deplete yourself and then turn around 10, 20 years from now and say, I never took time for myself. We're not trying to be martyrs here. We're just trying to be wholesome parents, and we're trying our best to educate our children in a way that best suits them, in our opinion, right? So make time for your own rest, your own hobbies, your own spiritual and your own personal growth. Because if you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of others. Eventually, you're going to break down, you're going to fall apart, and then what was the point of it all? This might mean waking up a little earlier for quiet time, and this is something that I've talked about quite a bit, and it's a struggle. I understand. Nobody wants to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I promise you, once you get into the habit of waking up early, maybe it's not 4 o'clock for you. Maybe you're still breastfeeding or working with your baby in the night, and so 4 o'clock in the morning doesn't make sense for you to wake up at that time, because maybe you're just going to sleep at that time because your baby was up all night. That's okay. It's not the point of waking up at 4 a.m. It's just waking up a few minutes, even a half an hour earlier than your family usually gets up, to give yourself those few minutes of quiet time. It's so precious to give that time to yourself, and you will be amazed at how much more calm you might be once you get started with the day, because you took that time for yourself first. So nurturing your own well-being might also mean asking for help so that you can go on an evening walk alone. Maybe you need that time away, maybe you don't. I know with our family, we do a lot of things together, and so that is fulfilling for me. So no, I don't want to go on a walk by myself, but maybe you need that time alone, and maybe that's the only way you can get time alone. So ask for help. Can your husband take the children while you go for a walk? Can grandma come over and be with the kids while you go for a walk? Whatever it is, ask for help, and however you can get that assistance, you work it into your day. In the past, the quintessential village naturally supported mothers with shared childcare, there were communal chores, and there was generational wisdom. Today, the modern village looks a little different. It might mean texting a friend for encouragement or joining a homeschool support group, even leaning on your church family. The form may look different, but the purpose is still the same. We need one another to thrive, and creating that village for yourself is really important because it's really the backbone of how we are able to make it through our day to day activities and events. So, again, the modern village is going to look pretty different. I am really happy for those who do have that physical village still, who still have people coming over, doing your laundry, washing dishes, bringing a meal with a meal train. That's wonderful if you still have that village. And I'm really happy for you guys who do have that. But for those of us who don't, it's okay. And we're going to make it and we're going to be fine. And again, you create that village in the way that works for you. Surround yourself with people who are encouraging you and helping you in your journey. Balancing homeschooling and homemaking is not about doing it all. It's about weaving learning, loving, and community together. The 5 tips: creating rhythms, involving your kids, setting priorities, building in breaks, and nurturing yourself are all strengthened by tapping into the village that still exists today in new forms. Whether through friendships, family, co-ops, or supportive services, we can remind ourselves that raising and educating children was never meant to be a solo act. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you feel encouraged and reminded that you're not alone in this journey. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or homeschool group. It might be the encouragement that they need today too. Until next time, take care of yourself, your family, and your village.